There are two types of invoicing available in Xero, Classic and New. I'll go through the main differences so you can decide which is best for you. This is Classic invoicing. It's been around since Xero started. More recently, Xero has introduced more and more features to New invoicing to make things faster and easier. The invoices you send to your customers will look exactly the same, but at the moment there are a few differences in the way you create the invoices. Here are some of the main differences. On the left are things you can only do in New invoicing, and on the right are things you can only do in Classic invoicing. Let's start with Autosave. As you enter details on the invoice, Xero automatically saves a draft. This means if you accidentally leave the page or lose internet connection, you won't lose any work. There's no autosave with Classic invoicing, so if you leave the page without saving, you lose any information you entered, and you'll need to re-enter it when you return to invoicing. Let's enter a contact. Notice Xero has saved this automatically as a draft invoice. If I add a bit more information, Xero saves it again. Let's say I click away from this screen. I can find that draft invoice from the dashboard or from the draft tab of the Invoices screen. Here's the invoice, and I can continue where I left off. Classic invoicing doesn't have autosave. To save a draft invoice in Classic invoicing, you'll need to click the Save button. You can customize the information you see on screen. There's no customization in Classic invoicing. Click Show Hide Fields to decide what information you need. This won't affect what your customer sees, it's just your view when you're creating an invoice. If you don't use the reference field, you can hide it. Because Xero automatically enters the next invoice number, maybe you don't need to see this when you're creating an invoice. If you don't enter an issue date, Xero will enter today's date. Unless you sometimes backdate your invoices, then perhaps you don't need to see this field. If you don't enter a due date, Xero will use the same date as the issue date. This is probably not what you want. But if you set up default invoice due dates in Invoice Settings, then again you may not need this field. As you can see, I've already removed all these fields to keep things nice and simple. So whenever I create an invoice, I just need to enter the contact, a description, the account, and the amount. Xero uses the default tax rate for the account you select. The ability to customize the invoice screen is really nice. It makes creating invoices quicker and easier. In Classic invoicing, there's no option to customize the invoice screen. With New invoicing, you can add a discount as a percentage of the price or as a dollar amount. In Classic invoicing, you can only enter a percentage. Let's add the discount field. And let's say we're invoicing our customer $750. To give them a discount, either enter the percentage, entering 10% means there's a discount of $75, or enter just a number. Entering 100 results in a $100 discount. To invoice multiple customers at the same time using contact groups, you need to switch to Classic invoicing first. Once you're in Classic invoicing, from the Invoices screen, click the New Invoice drop-down and choose your contact group. Enter the details to create a bunch of draft invoices to each contact in this group. Currently, this can't be done in New invoicing. If you use repeating invoices, Xero takes you to classic invoicing, but at least you don't need to switch to it beforehand if new invoicing is your default. From the Invoices screen, click the New Invoice drop-down and select New Repeating Invoice. From here you can set up your repeating invoice template. Whichever method of invoicing you select, Xero sets that as your default preference until you switch to the other method. So which method do you prefer? Let me know in the comments, and please like the video if it's been helpful. See you next time.